The opulent gates of Buckingham Palace, usually a symbol of awe, unwavering tradition, now seem to echo with a profound disquiet. A seismic shift has rippled through the royal family, culminating in the formal stripping of Prince Andrew's titles and honors. The once charmed life of entitlement for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor appears to be reaching its ignominious conclusion. The air around the palace feels thick with public indignation, a palpable demand for accountability that has finally forced the Crown's hand. King Charles, facing immense pressure, has initiated a process to remove all vestiges of Andrew's royal status. The grand rent-free mansion that once housed him is no longer his sanctuary. This eviction, coupled with the loss of his prized prince title, marks a significant and deeply painful humiliation for the man now simply known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The public's clamor, however, extends far beyond mere title removal and eviction. Prominent biographer Andrew Loney observes a tipping point where a public opinion, much like during the profound period following Diana's death, is way ahead of the palace. There is a widespread desire for Andrew to be thoroughly investigated, charged, and even detained. This extraordinary move by the king follows a cascade of damning revelations, many stemming directly from Andrew's own words. Leaked emails have illuminated his role in the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal, painting a portrait of a liar and a bully intent on discrediting Virginia Giuffre, a courageous woman who asserted she was repeatedly trafficked to Andrew as a 17-year-old, and tragically took her own life in April. Yet her powerful testimony from 2019, shared before her death, remains a stark reminder of the dark web spun by Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, Ari Abshalmu. Virginia vividly recounted her harrowing experience, describing how Ghislaine woke her one morning, announcing she would meet a prince. They went shopping and then Prince Andrew arrived. The scene shifted to Club Tramp, where Virginia recalled dancing with Andrew, noting his horrific dancing, profuse sweating, and peculiar smell. The journey back from the club was particularly chilling. Andrew was in a separate car with his security, while Ghislaine in the car with Virginia, explicitly instructed her to do what I do for Jeffrey, for Prince Andrew. It was then Virginia explained that she understood the grim reality of what was to transpire. She stated she was trafficked to him 3 times often when she was in the United States, and Andrew has consistently denied these allegations, most notably during his 2019 interview with Emily Maitlis on BBC's Newsnight. Maitlis pressed him on Virginia's claims of dining and dancing with him at Tramp nightclub in 2001 and subsequent sexual encounters at Ghislaine Maxwell's Belgravia home, Andrew's response was resolute. I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady. None whatsoever. He maintained his denial even when confronted with one of the most recognizable and contested photographs globally, showing him with his arm around Virginia's waist. He suggested it might be him, but questioned if it was his hand or the position, insisting, I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken. Virginia, however, was unwavering in her conviction. I know it's real, she declared, urging him to cease his lame excuses. She confirmed the photo was taken by Jeffrey Epstein, pointing out, Ghislaine Maxwell and the camera flash, asserting that's me at 17. And that's Prince Andrew with his chubby fingers. And we know what happened next. She emphasized that the image captured the moment right before I was abused by him. A sensational new detail has emerged, revealing the former prince's attempt to discredit Virginia on the eve of that very photo's initial publication in 2011. In a potentially illegal maneuver, Andrew allegedly instructed one of his personal protection officers to dig up damaging information on Virginia. A recently leaked email shows Andrew informing the Queen's then Deputy Press Secretary that he had provided Virginia's date of birth and confidential Social Security number to the officer for investigation. Emily Maitlis, who has closely scrutinized Andrew, views this as a horrifying intimidation tactic. She described it as a classic example of how powerful men shut down vulnerable women, often exploiting the rich versus poor dynamic. Maitlis believes Andrew is in big trouble, citing potential offenses under the Data Protection Act and malfeasance in public conduct. The request placed a taxpayer-funded protection officer in a difficult position, raising questions about whether the request ascended the chain of command within the police or the palace. Retired Daisy, former head of Scotland Yard's Royal Protection, who described Andrew as abrasive, rude, and arrogant, expressed shock that a royal would ask a police officer to break the law. Days believes the Metropolitan Police have no option but to pursue this, given the overwhelming public demand for clarification. He asserts that if evidence exists, Andrew should be questioned under caution and, if warranted, prosecuted, potentially leading to jail time. Another shocking detail further undermines Andrew's claims of innocence. Despite his adamant denial of ever meeting Virginia, Andrew Loney's unauthorized biography, entitled Claims to Possess Proof that he not only met her but actively selected her. Loney reveals that two independent sources have seen a book of photographs circulated by Ghislaine Maxwell from which individuals would choose who they wished to meet. He describes it as an a la carte system where Andrew was able to decide what he wanted, calling the situation pretty sordid. The image of a poor 17-year-old ordered as you might order a takeaway paints a grim picture. Andrew's decision to stay with Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2010, after Epstein's release from jail in 2009 for child sex offenses, has long haunted him. Andrew claimed this visit was a necessary and honorable way to personally end his friendship with the pedophile. However, this explanation has been met with widespread skepticism. The idea of traveling halfway across the world to break off a friendship is widely dismissed as preposterous. Yet, in his bombshell interview with Emily Maitlis, Andrew insisted the friendship ended definitively during that trip on December 5, 2010, after a heart-to-heart in Central Park. He maintained that by mutual agreement they decided to part company, and he never had any contact with Epstein from that day forward. This, it turns out, was a lie. Leaked emails reveal continued contact between Andrew and Epstein until at least March of the following year. The most disturbing email was sent by Andrew to Epstein the day after the Virginia Giuffre photograph was published. In it, Andrew chummily offers his support, writing, "It would seem we are in this together, and we'll have to rise above it. Otherwise, keep in close touch, and we'll play some more soon." The phrase "we're in this together, let's play some more soon" in the context of an email to a convicted pedophile is deeply unsettling and has profoundly impacted public opinion. Emily Maitlis noted that the public shock at this revelation surpassed even the understanding of Newsnight or The Palace, cementing the perception of Andrew's dishonesty. What the public has witnessed, however, is merely the beginning. Epstein himself reportedly described Andrew as the only person he's found that's more perverted than I am, even dubbing him the king of furry. King. This, combined with Andrew's continued lies about his friendship with Epstein and his alleged attempts to smear Virginia Giuffre, could well be the biggest modern royal scandal yet. Virginia's posthumously released memoir, along with her 2019 claims, reiterates that she was trafficked Andrew 3 times as a 17-year-old. On one occasion she recounted being joined by Epstein and 8 other young girls for sex with the royal. When asked about the age of these girls, Virginia stated she didn't know precisely, as they couldn't speak English and were forbidden from talking to each other, but they looked between 16 to 20. Beyond the sex trafficking allegations, Andrew Loney's biography uncovers other potential crimes, largely driven by Andrew's hunger for cash. Loney points to Andrew's alleged financial corruption, specifically how he abused his position as the special representative for trade and investment between 2001 and 2011. He reportedly facilitated business for his chums in places like China and the Middle East while also conducting his own business. Loney believes there is a strong case for investigation, charges, and ultimately, conviction. The financial entanglements extend to Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Despite their divorce, Loney suggests they are united in their questionable relationship as a couple grabs for money. Fergie's simpering emails to Epstein, requesting a loan and pledging her loyalty to his team expose the depth of their indebtedness and their continued and shameless contact long after they claimed to have ended their friendship. Loney estimates Fergie's debt to Epstein at approximately $2 million, citing 2 reliable, independent sources. The man once known as Randy Andy, the dashing young prince believed to be the Queen's favored child, seemingly unburdened by boundaries or consequences, has transformed a life of promise into a devastating train wreck. Virginia Giuffre's brother, Sky Roberts, and sister-in-law, Amanda, have welcomed Andrew's recent humiliation, though they believe it is long overdue. They assert that while he is royal by blood, his actions do not reflect it. They see this as an affirmation for Virginia, a validation of her truth-telling, but not yet justice. True justice, they believe, would involve him being put where he needs to go, which is behind bars. They extend this sentiment to anyone implicated in a royal cover-up or a U.S. cover-up, insisting they too should be imprisoned. Andrew's public downfall began in 2019, marked by his pompous and often preposterous responses during Emily Maitlis's extraordinary BBC interview. When confronted with Virginia's account of dancing with him and his profuse sweating, Andrew offered a bizarre defense, claiming a peculiar medical condition that prevented him from sweating at the time. He then introduced the now infamous Pizza Express invoking alibi, stating he had taken his daughter Beatrice there for a party. Maitlis, reflecting on the interview, admitted the challenge of maintaining composure while listening to such improbable claims. She emphasized, however, that she remained focused on the massively serious allegation at the heart of the matter. Virginia herself understood the gravity and darkness of these allegations better than anyone. Her memoir details not only her encounters with Andrew but also harrowing experiences with other powerful and violent men, including one instance where she was trafficked to someone who physically, mentally and sexually abuses you to the point where you don't think you're going to live. Even after reporting this to Epstein, he sent her back, leaving her in profound fear for her life. She admitted there were times she didn't want to live. In mid-2019, Virginia revealed her abuse began at age 7 at the hands of a family friend. But her memoir later disclosed a new, deeply painful allegation. Her own father, Ali, so molested her as a child, a claim he strongly denies. Virginia's brother expressed his belief in his sister's account, stating he knows what he did. He bravely asserted that the same fate should befall his father as he wishes for Prince Andrew, acknowledging the immense difficulty of such a statement as a son. The groundswell of belief in Virginia's story and the public's anger at her suffering tragically has gained momentum after her death. Her family expressed the bittersweet feeling of wishing they could tell her the world now believes her, and Virginia's memoir included a poignant desire to make a small dent in this huge world. Her family now believes she broke the system, making the biggest impact. With nowhere left to hide, questions now swirl about Andrew's future. Will he attempt to flee the country? He has been consistently caught in lies and public anger is intense. The scandal surrounding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor continues to unfold. His eviction from the rent-free mansion and the stripping of his princely title, while significant, may not be the worst of what's to come. Andrew Loney believes Andrew remains in denial, feeling hard done by and unable to comprehend why he is being targeted due to his ingrained sense of entitlement. Loney's unauthorized biography, entitled draws on insights from 300 individuals who were willing to expose the disastrous royal. Loney suggests that Andrew has made many enemies within the royal family and the palace, leaving him with few allies. Andrew's future could indeed become even more dire, with his role in the Epstein sex scandal potentially leading to criminal charges. The leaked emails proving his continued contact with Epstein after 2010 and his alleged smear campaign against Virginia Giuffre are central to this crisis. Andrew Loney is convinced that Ghislaine Maxwell is behind the Ferrari release of these explosive emails. He believes Maxwell is seeking a pardon or a more comfortable life, and that bringing Andrew down serves her own survival. This, Loney speculates, could be a way for Maxwell to earn brownie points with Donald Trump, who might be concerned about what Andrew could reveal. This intricate web suggests a potential effort to discredit Andrew to divert scrutiny from other powerful individuals. The latest revelation concerning the smear campaign could constitute serious criminality, according to Di Davies. Unlawfully obtaining or passing on such information would be a breach of the law. Davies emphasizes that the Metropolitan Police cannot shy away from investigating this potential criminality, as the stench around his character seems now finally to be unbearable to the British public. The public demands answers and justice and a complete distancing of both the government and the royal family from Andrew and his ex-wife. This could be the most serious legal trouble the rogue royal has ever faced. Andrew Loney believes Andrew may already be making contingency plans for exile, potentially seeking refuge in a country without an extradition treaty with Britain. The Middle East, specifically Abu Dhabi, where he has reportedly been offered a palace, and has many protectors, is an obvious place. Thailand, a traditional society where he previously used to go and now have fun, is another option. Loney's book also makes a claim about Andrew's activities in Thailand, suggesting he enjoyed the company of young women and effeminate young men, referring to ladyboys. While acknowledging long-standing rumors of his bisexuality and possessing a huge file of these stories, Loney only included the detail about Thailand in his book due to a lack of double sources for other claims. Other claims. He notes that while there is nothing wrong with bisexuality, it represents another secret that he's been hiding. Tragically, Virginia Giuffre is not here to witness the immense support and change her allegations have brought about. Her self-inflicted death on her Australian property earlier this year leaves a bittersweet legacy. Yet for Andrew Loney, this is not the end. He believes the full extent of the friendship between the deceased financier, the former prince, and Fergie is yet to be exposed, and Andrew's ultimate downfall is still to come. Loney anticipates more shocking emails to emerge, believing that what has been revealed is merely the tip of the iceberg of the ice, thousands of pages within the Epstein files. He expects other witnesses to come forward and more sealed depositions to be unsealed, concluding that this is only the beginning. Indeed, for this royal couple it appears to be only the beginning of the end. The hallowed grounds of Buckingham Palace, usually a bastion of Stoic tradition, now thrum with an unsettling undercurrent. A profound tremor has coursed through the very foundations of the royal family, culminating in the decisive stripping of Prince Andrew's titles and honors. The once unassailable life of privilege, long enjoyed by Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, appears to be spiraling towards a deeply ignominious conclusion. A palpable wave of public outrage hangs heavy in the air surrounding the palace, a relentless demand for accountability that has at last compelled the Crown's intervention. King Charles, navigating an immense tide of public and institutional pressure, has set in motion a comprehensive process to eradicate every last vestige of Andrew's royal standing. The sprawling rent-free mansion that once served as his opulent refuge is now irrevocably beyond his grasp. This stark eviction, coupled with the profound loss of his cherished prince title, represents a significant and profoundly humiliating blow for the man, now simply identified as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Yet, the public's fervent clamor extends far beyond the mere removal of titles and a change of residence. Esteemed biographer Andrew Loney keenly observes a tipping point where the collective public sentiment, much like the emotionally charged period following Diana's tragic passing, has surged way ahead of the palace. There is an undeniable and widespread yearning for Andrew to face a thorough investigation, to be formally charged, and ultimately to be held in detention. This extraordinary and unprecedented action by the king unfurls in the wake of a relentless torrent of damning revelations, many of which emanate directly from Andrew's own pronouncements. Leaked email exchanges have cast an unforgiving light on his entanglement in the Jeffrey Epstein sex scandal, meticulously crafting a portrait of a deceitful and bullying figure, singularly focused on discrediting Virginia Giuffre, a woman of immense courage who steadfastly maintained she was repeatedly trafficked to Andrew as a vulnerable 17-year-old, tragically ended her own life in April. Nevertheless, her powerful and poignant testimony from 2019 shared with the world before her untimely death, endures as a stark and chilling reminder of the dark and intricate web meticulously spun by Epstein and his notorious accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Virginia, with unwavering clarity, vividly recounted her harrowing ordeal, describing in chilling detail how Ghislaine roused her one fateful morning, casually announcing that she would be meeting a prince. They embarked on a shopping excursion, a surreal prelude to the arrival of Prince Andrew. The scene then shifted to the pulsating energy of Club Tramp, where Virginia distinctly recalled dancing with Andrew, making a particular note of his horrific dancing style, his profuse perspiration, and a peculiar, unforgettable scent. The journey back from the club, however, proved to be particularly chilling, etching itself into her memory. Andrew occupied a separate vehicle accompanied by his security detail, while Ghislaine, seated in the car with Virginia, issued an explicit and chilling directive: "Do what I do for Jeffrey, for Prince Andrew." It was in that moment, Virginia explained with a profound sense of dread, that she grasped the grim and undeniable reality of what was about to transpire. She unequivocally stated that she was trafficked to him on 3 separate occasions, often when she found herself in the United States. Andrew has, with steadfast consistency, vehemently denied these grave allegations, most notably during his high-profile 2019 interview with Emily Maitlis on BBC's Newsnight program. Maitlis, with journalistic precision, pressed him on Virginia's specific claims of dining and dancing with him at the Tramp nightclub in 2001 and the subsequent sexual encounters at Ghislaine Maxwell's Belgravia residence. Andrew's response was delivered with unwavering resolve: "I have no recollection of ever meeting this lady, sorry. None whatsoever." He steadfastly maintained his denial even when confronted with one of the most globally recognizable and fiercely contested photographs, an image depicting him with his arm encircling Virginia's waist. He conceded that it might be him, but then meticulously questioned if it was indeed his hand or the precise position, adamantly insisting, "I have simply no recollection of a photograph ever being taken, Virginia, however, remained utterly unyielding in her profound conviction. "I know it's real," she declared with fierce certainty, imploring him to abandon his lame excuses. She confirmed without hesitation that the photograph was captured by Jeffrey Epstein, meticulously pointing out Ghislaine Maxwell and the telltale camera flash, asserting with raw emotion, "That's me at 17. And that's Prince Andrew with his chubby fingers. And we know what happened next." She powerfully emphasized that the image encapsulated the precise moment right before I was abused by him. A sensational new detail has dramatically surfaced, casting a shadow over the former prince's claims of innocence and revealing a calculated attempt to discredit Virginia on the very eve of that infamous photograph's initial publication in 2011. In what appears to be a potentially illegal maneuver, Andrew allegedly directed one of his personal protection officers to unearth damaging information about Virginia. A recently leaked email provides stark evidence showing Andrew informing the Queen's then Deputy Press Secretary that he had furnished Virginia's date of birth and confidential Social Security number to the officer for the purpose of investigation. Emily Maitlis, who has meticulously scrutinized Andrew's actions, views this as a horrifying and calculated intimidation tactic. She characterized it as a quintessential example of how powerful men shut down vulnerable women, often ruthlessly exploiting the inherent power imbalance between the wealthy and the disadvantaged. Mateless firmly believes Andrew finds himself in big trouble, citing potential offenses under the Data Protection Act and serious malfeasance in public conduct. The nature of the request placed a taxpayer-funded protection officer in an acutely difficult and ethically compromised position, raising critical questions about whether the request ascended the chain of command within the police force or the palace hierarchy. Retired Di Davies, former head of Scotland Yard's Royal Protection, who has previously described Andrew as abrasive, rude, and arrogant, expressed profound shock that a member of the royal family would ever instruct a police officer to engage in unlawful activity. Davies is convinced that the Metropolitan Police have no alternative but to pursue this matter with utmost rigor, given the overwhelming public demand for transparent clarification. He unequivocally asserts that if credible evidence exists, Andrew should be questioned under caution and, if warranted by the findings, prosecuted, potentially leading to a period of incarceration. Another deeply unsettling detail further erodes Andrew's increasingly fragile claims of innocence. Despite his adamant and repeated denials of ever encountering Virginia, Andrew Loney's unauthorized biography, entitled Purports to Possess Irrefutable Proof that he not only met her but actively chose her. Loney reveals that two independent and credible sources have personally viewed a book of photographs that was circulated by Gisela I. Maxwell, from which individuals would meticulously select the young women they wished to meet. He vividly describes it as an a la carte system, implying that Andrew was afforded the disturbing ability to decide precisely what he wanted, characterizing the entire situation as pretty sordid. The chilling image of a poor 17-year-old ordered as you might order a takeaway paints a grim and deeply disturbing picture of exploitation. Andrew's controversial decision to stay with Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2010, following Epstein's release from jail in 2009 for egregious child sex offenses, has cast a long and persistent shadow over his reputation. Andrew adamantly claimed this visit was a necessary and honorable endeavor, a personal mission to definitively sever his friendship with the convicted pedophile. However, this explanation has been met with widespread and profound skepticism. The very notion of traveling halfway across the globe solely to terminate a friendship is widely dismissed as utterly preposterous. Yet in his bombshell interview with Emily Mateless, Andrew adamantly insisted that the friendship concluded definitively during that very trip on December 5, 2010, after a heart-to-heart conversation purportedly held in Central Park. He steadfastly maintained that by mutual agreement they decided to part company, and he asserted that he never had any contact with Epstein from that day forward. This, it has now become unequivocally clear, was a deliberate falsehood. Leaked emails have unequivocally revealed continued contact between Andrew and Epstein until at least March of the subsequent year. The most profoundly disturbing email, however, was dispatched by Andrew to Epstein the day after the infamous Virginia Giuffre photograph was initially published. In this chilling correspondence, Andrew chummily extends his support, writing, "It would seem we are in this together, and we'll have to rise above it. Otherwise, keep in close touch, and we'll play some more soon." The phrase "we're in this together, let's play some more soon," particularly when contextualized within an email addressed to a convicted pedophile, is deeply unsettling and dour. has profoundly impacted public opinion, cementing a perception of Andrew's profound dishonesty. Emily Maylis astutely observed that the public shock at this rare revelation surpassed even the understanding of Newsnight or Theor Palace itself, solidifying the perception of Andrew's inherent untruthfulness. What the public has witnessed, however, is merely the beginning of a much larger, more disturbing narrative. Epstein himself reportedly described Andrew as the only person he saw found that's more perverted than I am, even bestowing upon him the horror-chilling moniker, the King of Kink. This deeply disturbing revelation, combined with Andrew's persistent lies about the true nature and duration of his friendship with R. Epstein, and his alleged attempts to maliciously smear Virginia Giuffre, could very well culminate in the biggest modern royal scandal to date. Virginia's posthumously released memoir, alongside her compelling 2019 claims, reiterates with unwavering consistency that she was trafficked to Andrew on 3 separate occasions as a vulnerable 17-year-old. On one particularly harrowing occasion, she recounted being joined by Epstein and 8 other young girls for sex with the royal. When pressed about the precise age of these girls, Virginia candidly stated she didn't know precisely, as they were unable to speak English and were strictly forbidden from communicating with each other, but she estimated they looked between 16 to 20. Beyond the deeply disturbing sex trafficking allegations, Andrew Loney's biography meticulously uncovers a litany of other potential crimes, largely driven by Andrew's insatiable hunger for cash. Loney specifically points to Andrew's alleged financial corruption, detailing precisely how he abused his position as the special representative for trade and investment between 2001 and 2011. He reportedly facilitated lucrative business opportunities for his chums in far-flung locales such as China and the Middle East, all while simultaneously conducting his own personal business ventures. Loney firmly believes there is a compelling case for a thorough investigation, formal charges, and ultimately, a conviction. The intricate web of financial entanglements extends to Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Despite their formal divorce, Loney suggests they are united in their questionable relationship as a couple grabs for money. Fergie's simpering emails to Epstein, in which she explicitly requested a loan and pledged her unwavering loyalty to his team, starkly exposed the profound depth of their indebtedness, and their continued and shameless contact long after they publicly claimed to have ended their friendship. Loney estimates Fergie's debt to Epstein at approximately $2 million, citing 2 reliable, independent sources who corroborate this staggering figure. The man, once affectionately known as Randy Andy, the dashing young prince widely believed to be the Queen's favored child, seemingly unburdened by boundaries or the specter of consequences, has tragically transformed a life brimming with promise into a devastating train wreck. Virginia Giuffre's brother, Sky Roberts, and sister-in-law, Amanda, have expressed their profound satisfaction at Andrew's recent public humiliation, though they firmly believe it is long overdue. They assert that while he is royal by blood, his actions do not in any way reflect such status. They view this as a powerful affirmation for Virginia, a much-needed validation of her truth-telling, but emphatically not yet justice. True justice, they believe, would involve him being put where he needs to go, which is behind bars. They extend this unwavering sentiment to anyone implicated in a royal cover-up or a U.S. cover-up, insisting they too should face imprisonment. Andrew's public downfall began in earnest in 2019, indelibly marked by his pompous and often utterly preposterous responses during Emily Maitlis's extraordinary BBC interview. When directly confronted with Virginia's detailed account of dancing with him and his profuse sweating, Andrew offered a bizarre and almost unbelievable defense, claiming a peculiar medical condition that purportedly prevented him from sweating at the time. He then introduced the now infamous Pizza Express invoking alibi, meticulously stating he had taken his daughter Beatrice there for a party. Maitlis, reflecting on the nearby torrid, my restrain out see while in art.